I froze in the doorway, clutching the gift bag I'd brought because his mother said they were hosting a family dinner. But the living room wasn't set for dinner. It was covered in cream and gold wedding decor. A florist was arranging white roses on tall centerpieces. A tiered cake sat on a table draped in silk. And there he was, my fiancé, standing shoulder to shoulder with another woman while his mother adjusted her bracelet like I was invisible. Before I could make sense of it, his mother turned to the event coordinator and said, loud enough for everyone to hear, "Make sure Olivia's dress fitting is moved to Tuesday. She'll need extra time with the seamstress." And blinked. Olivia, the woman standing next to my fiancé, smiled like she'd already stepped into my life. I demanded, "What is this? Why is there a cake? Who is she?" His mother didn't flinch. "This is their rehearsal preview. You weren't supposed to walk in yet." Rehearsal. Preview. My ears were ringing. My fiancé didn't even look at me, he just muttered, "I was going to explain." Explain what? That he'd planned a wedding without me. That another woman was trying on dresses tied to the ring on my finger. My heartbeat rattled in my throat, humiliation flooding every inch of me as the florist tried not to stare. And right there, before the tears could fall, everything inside me went silent. My name is Lauren Pierce, and that was the night I learned my own wedding was happening without me. The moment I stepped back outside, the cold air hit harder than any of their words. My hands were shaking so badly I dropped the gift bag in the driveway. I didn't pick it up. I just stood there, staring at the house I'd walked into 100 times as his fiancé, now realizing I was just a placeholder until something better came along. I didn't scream, didn't chase him, didn't demand answers. I just walked to my car because staying another second felt like begging. As I turned the ignition, one thought echoed. How long have they been planning this? The sickest part was the calm in his mother's eyes. She hadn't been caught. It was like I'd simply arrived ahead of schedule to my own replacement ceremony. That humiliation sat in my chest like wet cement. Let me take you back. 6 months earlier, he got down on one knee in our tiny living room with his grandmother's ring and said he couldn't imagine life without me. We'd been together 4 years. He cried when I said yes. I thought that kind of sincerity couldn't be faked. We agreed to take our time with wedding planning because he said his new promotion would put us in a better place financially. I trusted him. I covered most of our rent for a while when he said he was paying off debt. I thought we were a team. I never imagined he'd build a future behind my back while I was funding the present. His family never liked me, but they tolerated me. His mother always called me temporary when she thought I couldn't hear. His father complained I wasn't polished. I'd brush it off when he reassured me, "They'll come around once the wedding happens." Turns out the wedding was happening, just not with me. What stings most is that I wasn't clueless. I noticed the way he started hiding his phone or brushing off conversations about setting a date. But love makes you negotiate with your own instincts. 4 weeks before the betrayal, we'd gone ring shopping, not for a replacement, but to resize the heirloom ring. He held my hand and joked about elopement. That same week, he claimed he had work dinners and late meetings, coming home smelling faintly of someone else's perfume. I asked once if something was off. He had the audacity to look hurt and accuse me of insecurity. I apologized to him, and now I can still taste the bitterness of that memory. The night before family dinner, his mother called me and specifically asked me to arrive early to help with appetizers. That wasn't an accident. They wanted me to walk in before they could hide it. They wanted me out, publicly, cleanly, humiliatingly. And Olivia, she looked right at me and didn't flinch, like she'd already taken my place in conversations, group texts, family photos. That was the night something in me stopped bleeding and hardened instead. I didn't go home. I drove to my friend Mia's apartment and sat in her parking lot until she came outside in her robe and slippers. When I told her what happened, she swore so loudly a neighbor looked out their window. She asked if I wanted revenge. I didn't. Not then. I wanted distance. I wanted the noise in my head to quiet. I wanted to go back in time and shake the version of me who thought love meant patience. The next morning he texted, "We should talk, you overreacted." Overreacted to walking into my own wedding plans without me. His lack of remorse was almost more painful than the betrayal itself. I replied with one sentence, "Remove my number." Then I blocked him. I didn't explain myself. I didn't collapse. I packed my belongings with Mia's help and moved out within 48 hours. He tried calling through friends. None of them gave me up. Here's what they didn't realize. While they were busy discarding me, my name was on things they thought belonged to him alone. That apartment. I was the co-leaseholder. That investment account he made me open for our future. The savings fund his father helped him start in college. I'd paid into it during the years he was between jobs. I didn't touch any of it yet, but I knew those signatures would matter eventually. Their wedding went ahead without me 2 months later. I didn't attend, obviously, but I saw photos through people who wanted to stir drama. He looked uneasy in every shot, like his tux didn't fit anymore. Olivia beamed like she'd won a competition I didn't know I was in. Rumor had it his mother called me a lesson in not settling too early. That line alone could have broken me once. Instead, it lit something steady and strategic. I built quietly, moved into a small duplex, took on extra freelance jobs until I could leave my suffocating marketing position. I started an event planning side business using connections I'd gained helping his friends plan showers, birthdays, engagements. Turns out, people remembered my professionalism more than my proximity to him. A year passed, then 2. His name evaporated from my daily life. I heard whispers that their marriage was already cracking. Money troubles, in-law conflicts, Olivia expecting a lifestyle his parents couldn't keep bankrolling. I didn't feel satisfaction, just distance. But distance has a sharp edge when truth catches up. 3 years in, I officially launched my company. Bookings snowballed from word of mouth. I got invited to coordinate a high-profile charity gala, ironically hosted by a colleague of his father. Nobody there knew my history. They just saw competence. I showed up in a black suit and confidence they never thought I'd grow into. Around that time I got the letter, a notice about the investment account. His name was attempting sole control. The bank required my approval to release the funds. So I froze it. Legally. Permanently. A week later his mother emailed me, formal, clipped, asking me to do the right thing. I deleted it without opening. 4 years in I bought my home. A quiet craftsman with a sunny kitchen. I didn't announce it online or send postcards. I furnished it piece by piece with money I earned. Mia cried the day we unpacked my dishes and set them in cabinets that didn't echo with anyone else's footsteps. I heard from a distant cousin of his that Olivia left. Apparently she discovered his debts, his lack of liquid assets, and that the house they lived in wasn't deeded to him like his parents promised. It was in foreclosure. She took what she could and ran. His parents had stopped bailing him out. Their golden boy lost his shine when his marriage stopped being a bragging point. He tried to contact me through a mutual acquaintance. He's not doing well, they said. I said nothing back. Misery doesn't become more noble just because it's deserved. Kept working. Grew my business. Hired staff. Signed clients whose mothers didn't look down their noses at me. 5 years in I met someone new. His name is Connor. Not wealthy, not flashy, but solid. When he learned about my past, he didn't offer pity. Just said I must have been stronger than they expected. I think that was the first time I believed it. We built slowly, carefully. The opposite of everything that had broken me before. That same year, his father's company hosted another gala and requested my firm to manage it. They didn't realize who owned the company until I walked into the venue walkthrough. His mother went pale. His father stuttered something about professionalism. I smiled, took notes, and never once acknowledged our past. That was the first time they saw me as someone they couldn't dismiss. 2 weeks before the event he showed up. The venue. Looking older, thinner, and unsure of his own voice. I was reviewing the lighting plan when I heard my name like a question. Turned slowly. He said, "You look different." I said, "You don't." Then I kept working. He followed me down the hall, spilling apologies like loose change. I treated him like a stranger asking for directions. He finally blurted it out. "I made a mistake, I listened to them, I should have married you." I didn't pause. I handed a clipboard to my assistant and said, "We're behind schedule." He looked wrecked. He expected fury or tears. He got indifference. That's when something in his posture cracked. The night of the gala, I ran the room like a conductor. His parents watched me surrounded by staff, clients, and guests praising my work. Nobody treated me like help. Nobody treated me like a placeholder. I left before dessert. He tried to catch me on the curb as I got into my car. I closed the door before he could speak. 6 years later to the exact week, his parents' business, Pierce & Langston Financial, booked my company again, this time for their 50th anniversary fundraiser. They didn't know I'd bought a silent 18% stake in the venue they chose. I'd acquired it 2 years earlier through a shell company for expansion, and no one thought to check the ownership records. The event contract had a clause requiring all outstanding vendor payments and shared account disputes involving either partner to be cleared before final approval. Guess whose name was still tied to the frozen investment account from years ago? The venue's legal team, my legal team, halted the gala 72 hours before launch. His mother called, furious, demanding I fix this. I told her calmly that the co-signer in question needs to resolve his outstanding liabilities to release the hold. I never said his name. I didn't have to. Their panic was the first real acknowledgement that I hadn't just disappeared. I'd evolved beyond their reach. They scrambled. Sponsors backed out. The event made local business news for contract complications. My company's name was nowhere in the blame. Theirs was. He showed up at my office the next day without an appointment, looking like a man who'd lost sleep and pride. He tried to walk past reception, insisting we had unfinished business. My front desk manager, a former military admin with zero tolerance for entitlement, stopped him cold. I stepped into the lobby only long enough for him to see me in a tailored suit, clipboard in hand, surrounded by staff who respected me. He said, "You're sabotaging my family." I said I don't need to sabotage what was already rotting. He begged to talk just 5 minutes alone. I didn't give him 5 seconds. I looked him dead in the eyes and said, "You planned a life without me. I lived one without you. Now you're just late to your own consequences." Then I walked away while security escorted him out. He didn't yell. He looked hollow. His parents tried lawyers. The lawyers found ironclad documents with my name and dates they'd forgotten. They couldn't unwrite the past they engineered. His father's company lost the gala, lost donors, and lost face. Their competitors circled like vultures. The story spread, they burned the wrong woman. Olivia, now remarried and living in Florida, refused to vouch for him when someone from the board contacted her. His reputation wasn't just bruised, it was radioactive. Meanwhile, I hosted a private engagement celebration with Connor in my backyard. String lights, soft music, real joy. No audience, no performance, no borrowed elegance. My life no longer existed in their orbit. A week later I got one last message from him. Not to my phone, but through a legal notice requesting mediation to resolve the shared financial entanglements amicably. My lawyer responded before I even saw it. All actions taken were within contractual rights, no further communication necessary. The silence that followed wasn't peace for him. It was a sentence. I didn't ruin him. I just stepped out of the way and let the weight of everything he did echo back. My rise wasn't loud. It was undeniable. And by the time he realized what he'd lost, I was living a life he couldn't even knock on the door of. That was the end. Not loud. Not petty. Just permanent.